This is an NBC 10 News podcast.
Good morning, Governor.
Good morning, Gene. Going off script. Do I get to ask you questions, in this format?
If you want to do that, you could ask me the definition of socialism. I know that you actually asked me that on the radio last week. You told me, what's the definition of socialism?
Yes.
I have it ready. We'll get to that. But first, Helena Folks was just up there with you back to back. She's feeling pretty good. Says she's got a 20-point lead on you. Do you have any numbers to share to show that you're closing the gap with her? You want to share anything with us
I don't
to say it's not that bad?
But I know our internals say once people find out that she was a person that put profits over people, and I put people first on a career in elected office, the gap just closes completely on her. So we're very confident where we are right now. The people know that I'm doing the important business of helping their kids do better in school. $4 billion of schools built, 38,000 new jobs, saving hospitals, and then building things at a pace that we've never built before. It's interesting how the rankings get covered when they're not really favorable. But what about rankings when they're really favorable? Like last week, we came out in the top 8 of public schools in the country in a survey, and so we know that we're doing the right things. We just got to make sure we get the message
What
out.
is it? Failure has a million friends. What is it? Success as an orphan, something like that, right?
Yeah.
That's a news business. We tend to.
That would be my question. My question is why? Because we're in a state that has struggled economically. We're always first in and last out at economic downturns. We're not there right now. We keep on hearing about a recession. We're not in a recession. In fact, we have the top airport in the country.
You do.
We've got one of the top URI, public university in New England. We're ranked very high in multiple areas, and all we hear from coverage is that we're really doing bad. Well, so why is that?
Okay, well, because you have some lousy economic numbers. We're doing better on the CNBC rankings, but we're still down in the dumps. There are still surveys that say it's hard to do business in Rhode Island, and there's a whole host of problems. The schools aren't where you want them to be, certainly, right?
Well, we want to be the best in the country, and we're heading in that direction. We've closed the gap on a reading by 40%, on a math by 30%, and we know that we're going to get more bumps. But no, look, we got the America's dashboard ranking Rhode Island 14th out of 50 states. On the economy, on the education, we're in the top 10. So it's all subjective, right? My job is just to do the work, Gene, and that's what we're doing every day, regardless of rankings, regardless of polls.
I know you don't want to talk about polls; they don't favor you. But I said, do you have anything to show me that those numbers are incorrect? In the UNH poll, and there was a poll before that, because she's crowing about 20 points. In fact, I think she's sitting on her lead. We're trying to get her in here to do exactly what you're doing and go on the radio, but you take a risk. When you're 20 points ahead, you take a risk.
The Falcons went to the locker room thinking they had the Patriots beat, and then the Patriots come back and beat them. Look, this campaign has just started. I understand campaigns very well. The campaign is about maybe 10% in right now based on what really happens when people start paying attention. When people start paying attention to the work that we've got done and the work that we're actually going to continue to do, we have a plan, right? The Rhode Island 2030 plan is a draft of a plan that people can actually go to. We have a housing plan. Her housing plan is a non-starter, yet she's spending
You're giving me one topic after another. By the way, with your education plan to meet or beat Massachusetts, you might make that. At first, I laughed at that when you said that about a year ago, that, we're going to meet or beat Massachusetts by 2030. They're coming down. They're coming down slightly as we're going up. You may actually meet them in the middle. You mentioned housing. I'm glad you brought that up. There's a new Federal Reserve study out of the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas. I don't know if you heard this. It's a draft. It's getting a lot of coverage. Now, the Fed is an impartial body, a lot of Democrats hanging on over there, and they say, this housing crisis was a creation of the Democrats. You let millions of illegals in during the Biden administration. They need a place to live. They're the ones driving up the housing prices. It was a creation of the Democrats. You run around saying affordable housing, affordable this. The Federal Reserve has got a draft report saying you created it. Not you, but your party.
So look.
Address that. This Federal Reserve report says it's creation of the Democrats.
The way I'll address that is, look, we kicked the can down the road in the state on many, many things, including the bridge. I'm fixing the things that we kicked the can down the road. If that's true, that's not my problem. We've
it is your problem
no,
because you're running on this housing affordability, my housing, my housing. Federal Reserve says the Democrats created it.
Gene, I'm running on the work we're doing, 7,000 units that we've already put in place or in construction right now. We're building at a pace that we haven't seen since the 80s. My job is to fix things that are in place. Housing was a problem, and we are fixing that with a plan. My opponent's plan is a non-starter. She's using money that we've already used to offset things that have to do with health care, SNAP programs. I want to eliminate the Social Security tax. Where's the General Assembly helping me make that happen? So, yes, the housing is an issue, but we're tackling that in a very aggressive way. And if we didn't do that, criticize me. But we have a plan, and it's working.
I'm not criticizing you, but this is significant. The Federal Reserve Board out of Dallas says, in large measure, the housing crisis that you are running on, you're going to fix it, was largely created by the Democrats under Joe Biden for letting millions of illegals in. Now hit that head on.
Well, I know real estate pretty good. I know that supply and demand really drives pricing, right? So that's why we're putting more supply into the market all around the state of Rhode Island. We have a housing plan that I can show you physically that we're implementing. I have taken the bull by the horns, created a Secretary of Housing that didn't exist before I was in office, and now we are in charge of housing strategies. We got a bond passed the last election. We got another bond on the ballot. Look, my job is to get things done, and we're getting things done.
My job is to ask you, I've asked you twice, you don't want to address that point, that there was a creation of the Democrats. You also want to tell me you have any numbers to show that you're narrowing the gap. Let's keep going. You're out with a new ad today, going after Helena for her role in the opioid crisis, and you're suggesting that she took money. I don't know if you're saying under the table or illegal. Let me play the ad, and then you can respond. You can clarify this. I don't know if this rises if you're suggesting criminal wrongdoing here. Go ahead and play the governor's new ad today. By the way, I'm in it. Thank you.
Well, that makes it.
CVS now facing a lawsuit from the Department of Justice.
On Helena Folks' watch, CVS put profits over safety.
The lawsuit alleges that the pharmacy giant fueled the opioid crisis.
Folks is defending her actions at the company, but the lead federal prosecutor in Rhode Island claims the pharmacy ignored warnings.
CVS accepted secret payments to keep opioids flowing. Folks pocketed millions, while Rhode Islanders died.
What I did through the opioid crisis is a good example of leadership.
If that's what she did as CEO, imagine what she'd do as governor.
Okay, that's my agent. I get paid for that. You use me and Patrice in that ad. All right, what are you suggesting here? Wrongdoing? Is this rise to a criminal prosecution? CVS took secret payments. Helena benefited by millions. By the way, she's going to say this is absolute nonsense. But what are you saying?
Well, first of all, the U.S. Attorney's saying it. I'm not saying it, right? Just read the 93-page report. The lawsuit that is right now currently holding executives at CVS accountable. She was one of the top executives there for actually turning a blind eye for profits, right? So they peddled pills, and they did take a large, according to the U.S. Attorney, took over $170 million from Purdue, which was
Purdue Pharma is the maker of
and the Sackler family, who she's very friendly with, served on a board that she chaired on the Dodd Foundation years after. She said that she was aware now that Purdue and the Sackler family caused big problems. So no, everything that's in that ad we can prove out, and it's basically based on the fact that the U.S. Attorney's lawsuit right now, Gene, saying that executives at CVS turned a blind eye to the problem for profits.
All right, Helena's going to have an opportunity, but she's invited to address this and hit you back head on if she so chooses.
She can hit me head back, but she's going to have to disagree with a U.S. attorney. This is not something we're making up. This is something that, and this has hurt people in Rhode Island and all around the country. It's clear that CVS had problems with its executives. She was one of the top executives during that time.
Let me take a quick break. When we come back, and let me ask you if going after CVS is risky for the governor of Rhode Island. Governor, is it risky for you to go after CVS through Helena Folks? That's your home corporation, the biggest company here. Is that risky?
No, because look, CVS knows that it had some executives that made problems for them. Helena Folks is one of them. So I'm running against Helena Folks. I'm running. That's my opponent.
That's probably Helena calling me right
now. Could be. That's my opponent.
Yep.
This is off script.
There we
That's
go.
pretty good.
That was unexpected. Go ahead.
So yeah, no, look, we're not in a fight with CVS. We support CVS. We have programs that help them with job training and everything else. We're going to continue to do that.
Yep.
This is a former executive of CVS that, quite frankly, led them down a path that cost them a lot of money and cost people a lot of pain.
Okay, speaking of a lot of money, Donald Trump just turned down your bid to have the cities and towns reimbursed.
Figure that one out.
Well, your EMA guy thought it was going to lock, but it's not a lock. He's not going to give you the money. You said you're going to appeal that. What does that mean?
We're going to appeal it.
What does that, how? What does that mean?
It means that they need to review it again, and they will. And look, this is politics, unfortunately. Other states who are blue, purple states are getting monies during that storm. We received in 2022, which we had the largest snowfall that in 24 hours, we received about $9 million back on a state of emergency that I called in. I called a state of emergency here. The numbers show that history says that we should be getting reimbursed. And think about this, it's not just a state reimbursement. We've gone in for municipalities too, so municipalities are going to get hurt by this decision.
Providence rented trucks, the snow eaters. They need their money back. Now, listen, Donald Trump says, well, we got new standards, and you guys have to pay for your own snow removal because you're in the Northeast. That's just paraphrasing him. Governor, do you think his decision had anything with you in one of your latest commercials saying Trump's idiocy?
No.
Do you think he heard you say that?
Areas
idiocy?
Areas where we need to push back. We need to push back and defend the state's people against health care reductions, SNAP reductions. First time ever when a government shut down that they took away food SNAP programs. Look, we're in a battle with the current administration. We had to go to court to protect the Revolution Wind, which was 90% completed. But on areas that we're trying to find common ground, we're trying to find common ground. We got the money from the Trump administration to make sure that we had the funds to complete the Washington Bridge.
You got the money for the bridge.
That's correct.
You got, but this one, for some reason, I don't know, maybe he heard you say Trump's idiocy. Do you think that helps? Can you back off on some of that, at least till we get the money we need?
Look, I'm in a campaign. And I got to call this, what it is. Trump administration is causing Rhode Island significant problems on health care cuts, food cuts, not supporting projects that we have in place, and then now in this case, denying us millions and millions of tax relief. Those are our dollars. We send those dollars to Washington, and we know that right now we're being singled out, and the taxpayers of Rhode Island are getting clobbered for about $19 million.
Governor, 1 minute. Let's do a quick lightning round. Just short answers for me. Graham Plattner, should he drop out of the race for Senate in Maine?
He should.
He should. Was your members of your congressional delegation wrong to support him all along? Wasn't the Nazi tattoo wasn't enough?
Well, I didn't like him right from the very beginning, and again, we need to change Congress because there's no check and balance right now there on a President Trump that said we had we had an agreement to stop the war and now we're bombing again. So what do you believe? We need a check and balance. Just for everybody in the country right now, a check and balance. So look, we need to take over the Senate, at least the Senate and the House in the next election.
Your party chair, Liz Beretta Perrick in Rhode Island, do you believe she put her thumb on the scale for Helena in not doing an endorsement and not for holding off on or at least working to hold off a primary? You're very mad at her, and should she step down?
Well, I think that, first of all, she did put a thumb on the scale. I got more votes than anybody else, so I consider myself the endorsed candidate in that state Democratic committee. And she put her thumbs on the scale and created a formula that, quite frankly, gamed the system.
We got a lot of traction when I asked you on the radio, do you renounce socialism? You said, define that for me. You know what I said later when you left? I said, you went to the Kennedy School of Government. You have a master's. You should tell me the definition of socialism.
We're off the script here. I get to ask you questions.
No, wait, do you renounce socialism? You want to refine your answer on that? So I don't understand why you're not saying yes. I really don't get it.
Well, according to Trump's definition, that socialism and communism, of course I do.
Should I take that as a yes?
If he's defining it as communism, I don't believe that that's a very good
Socialism is ownership of the large corporations, support for small businesses here and there, but it's largely a lot of government control. Do you renounce socialism, a capitalist country? That's a yes or no answer.
Yeah, so I support the fact that everybody should have a fair shake. Okay. And when we're out of balance, like we are right now, with some of the money that's going into 1% of the population in the state or in the country, impacting you and me because we're not in that area, Gene. Yeah, we need to create some sort of balance.
Let me just tell my producer, I'm going to go over by 1 minute here. Governor, I'm disappointed in our 250th celebration here in Rhode Island. And it's a shame. We had no Keystone event. The tall ships are going from New York up to Boston. They're not even making a left turn here. There's no memorable event for kids who went through this 50 years from now. They're not going to be talking about it like you and I talked about the bicentennial 50 years ago. Did we drop the ball?
No, we didn't. And this is what I'm saying. The media is covering that side of the story. We had a significant amount of people involved. We have a 250 committee in every community. We're going out and doing small groups. And then we finalized it with an unbelievable celebration at the backside of the State House with a Philharmonic Orchestra with the State House in all its glory, which I cleaned, by the way, when I showed up. And I put the Independent Man back up on top of on that building because I have a pride in our state. We showed pride in our state on the 250th, and then we went to a water fire, and then we walked down there with the all flags in the state of Rhode Island. No, we celebrated in a really big way, and any coverage that says that we didn't is not really covering it properly.
Well, then that includes me.
You should have been at the Philharmonic Orchestra when they were playing. Secretary Maury has done an unbelievable job. We put our Declaration of Independence out in the State House. We had hundreds of people come and see it.
Since you're calling me part of the problem here, we do concerts all the time, and we do water fires all the time, and the Coast Guard Bark Eagle came into Newport, and it's a beautiful ship, wonderful people, but Governor, you had no Keystone event, nothing memorable, nothing special. I'm sorry, but go ahead, you can yell at me for that, but that was it.
By the way, we're in our 250th the whole year.
You planted Liberty trees.
We're going to put on ballot to put a museum in this state so we can actually put our Declaration of Independence out for the public's eye on a daily basis. No, we are covering that spot. And when we actually called in to Washington to get information, they couldn't give us any
You're talking
answers.
about the Great American State Fair. We didn't show up. People said that was embarrassing that our pavilion was empty. I know you're mad at Trump. It was his event. But
no, that's not what happened. We asked what was going on, and we actually offered to put down a display down there, and that was not good enough for them. So look, we celebrated in Rhode Island, just like we did with the World Cup.
Yeah.
Right? We put our money here. I was asked to put millions of dollars up in Boston. I said, no, we're going to put it right here. And we've had the fan zone, over 60,000, 70,000 people there enjoying those games.
That was a success.
Big success.
Yeah.
And you go talk to all the people who had their Liberty tree planted in their community all around the state of Rhode Island, and people showed up like it was an old time celebration of our country. Rhode Island did a good job there, and Secretary Maury did a very good job.
Okay, well listen, you could push back on me, that's fine, I could take it.
All I can say,
I'm just telling you that 50 years from now, the little kid's not going to be talking about this like they talked about the bicentennial. Let's hold it there.
Oh my God, we went overtime today.
We did. We went off script, Governor.
You're off script. I love it. But you had all this paperwork there. It seemed like you had a script.
No, these are research notes on you.
Okay.
And it's just a rundown.
Okay.
There's nothing to read here. It's just a rundown. I have to have something to follow.
Thanks, Gene.
Governor, good to see you.
Right back at you.
All right, thanks.